moving on, individual honours in the bag. We're moving on team of the season, gents. Now, for the viewers listening, for the viewers watching, myself, Ayub and Uwais did submit our teams to each other, so we know who we all have. We basically wanted to align our mutual picks, and funnily enough, there are only 4 out of 11 that we've agreed on. So there's a lot to debate here, gents. We're gonna run through the four first. The four picks. First one is William Saliba. William Saliba of Arsenal. We've all gone for him. We've all gone for Bukayo Saka, Kevin De Bruyne, and Erling Haaland. Now, I'll let you discuss some of those picks. Uwais, maybe go with the Saliba and Saka picks, and then you can delve into the Ginger Prince. Well, that's Paul Scholes, but Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, just on William Saliba, I think sometimes you become a better player when you're out of the team, and clearly right now Arsenal are missing him. I think we could all agree on that. No clean sheets in the games that he has missed. I think he had 12 clean sheets in the 27 games that he played. Even in some of the games where we've conceded, we've won the games. I mean, he is a superb defender. 91% passes completed, 92% tackle success. When you watch him, with defenders, it's like when you watch him, you think, does the striker feel confident of getting past him? And he's had a few shaky moments this season. Remember, it's his first season in the Premier League, spent a number of seasons in the French League on loan. Unusual situation, which many Arsenal fans were a little bit disappointed in, but clearly they had a plan for him in terms of game experience, in terms of match experience, just trying to develop his game. And now when you watch him, he is he's found his way into all three of our teams. I think he's just a superb defender, decent pace, good height, attacks the ball, rarely gets done one-on-one. Again, had a few shaky moments early on. Brighton away, Evan Ferguson got through, scored an own goal early on, I think, against Leicester as well. But on the whole, he's just a superb defender. And Arsenal have missed him dearly. But I think if they can get him back next year, get his back sorted, I'm sure he can maybe hopefully establish himself as one of the premier defenders and put some consistent seasons together. You asked me about Saka as well. He's in all three of our teams. The only other candidate on the right wing, because we did do this on a positional basis, 4-3-3. The only other candidate I had on the right wing for the time being was Salah. He's still had an underrated, decent season in terms of goals and assists. If you look at it, I think 16 goals, 7 assists for Salah.
I don't think he's been particularly good all around, but he has got the number. He has got good numbers again this season, which I'll give him credit for. I think his all-round play hasn't been the best, but
17 goals, seven assists, I should say. But I think when you look at someone like Saka, I think he's got 13 goals, 11 assists. He turns 22 in September. He's contributed massively to Arsenal. He's made an impact, to your point, especially in some of the bigger games early on. Yes, his form's tailed off a little bit, but I think when you're 21 and a half, still, getting game experience, you can forgive someone for that. I think he's not 25, 26 at the peak of his powers. I think he'll only go from strength to strength. He shows that he's taken steps in his game. He started to, if you remember that goal from outside the box against United, I think that's his next stage of his development, scoring a few more kind of outside the box goals, making a difference, being a bit of that, what I call healthy arrogance, to try and make the difference in big situations rather than always being deferential. But his crossing's elite. He goes onto his right foot just as much now when defenders show him onto that side. And I think for such a player who's so young, I think he really is mature beyond his kind of real age, and I think he should go from strength to strength. Again, the only other candidate on that side was Salah. I gave Saka the nod simply based on impact in the end for the season that Arsenal have had.
No, that's why numbers can be a bit deceiving. I think Saka he's probably been the best winger this season in the league, maybe by one exception, but probably not even that. He has been incredible from both sides of his game, defensively and offensively. I think he comfortably sits at right wing. I know you tried bringing Rafinha into this, but he's gone. You just so you know, he's at Barcelona this season, buddy.
Kick a man when he's down.
But yeah, Ayub, Kevin De Bruyne. I know you love the man. Tell us why.
I do, absolutely do. I mean, it's already been commented. I mean, you've articulated beautifully exactly how good a player he is. If you had to create the perfect midfield player, I think it will be Kevin De Bruyne. I think he has got everything offensively, defensively. He can dribble, he can pass, he can score goals. And what I like about Kevin De Bruyne is his work rate as well. It's so easy sometimes to be a great player, maybe just be a little bit blasé, a little bit relaxed, just to sort of say, well, I'm such a great player. I don't have to always be at it. There was a game, I can't remember. There was a game that Man City played. They'd won the game. They were comfortable. But even in injury time, he was still putting in a shift. And that's why I love this man. Not only is he an absolute genius of a midfield football player, but he's got such a wonderful attitude. He's such a great example. He is somebody that I think if there was any world 11s that you are creating, he would be a player that you'd include in that world 11. I think he is just an absolute genius. I think we are privileged to be around in a time when we've got a player like Kevin De Bruyne. We are privileged that he's playing in the Premier League, the best league in the world. He is an absolute superstar. I absolutely adore him, and I think Man City fans should be so in awe, so grateful that they've got an absolute world star playing for them.
No, completely agree. And I hate that he plays for Manchester City. But my God, he is literally everything you want, like you said, in a midfielder. He has everything, every facet to his game. He's up there with how we mentioned Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, Zidane, Xavi, Busquets, the list goes on. He's up there with the very best. Modric, Cruz. He's easily up there with the best.
Absolutely.
He's an incredible player. The only downside is he hasn't got a Champions League yet with City, but that's a team achievement anyway.
It's not you didn't give Mbappe that pass, but okay, carry on.
Yes,
Carry on.
he's finally nibbled. I was trying it with the Zinchenko one.
But it's okay. Give him
having
about,
it.
what is it, 4 or 5 weeks? Is that when the Champions League final is?
They're in the semis, mate. Calm down.
No. They're winning it. I told you, Yaya Touré's lifted that curse. It's happening.
And I'm not going to speak about Erling Haaland because we've all waxed lyrical about him already. Erling Haaland, easy choice in there. I think I had Bamford like neck and neck, but it was fine.
Yeah, close. If you hadn't missed that sitter against Leicester, it would have been in.
That's what did it. That's what did it.
Yeah, so
It takes
so
great skill to miss an open net like that.
so just to confirm, we've agreed on Saliba being one of the centre backs, Saka as right wing, De Bruyne as, let's say, our number 10.
No, not number 10. Just the midfielder.
Just the midfielder, and then we've got Haaland leading the line. Okay.
Haaland leading the line. Is a 4-3-3 formation, like like Uwais said. Sorry. So we're gonna start with goalkeepers. Now, goalkeepers, I'll let you guys. Well, I'll go ahead and say mine. And mine is. I should let you go first, actually. Damn it. I'm just gonna say that David De Gea. He's leading the Golden Glove race. So why not? A lot of conviction in that answer. You can go next.
Mine is Alisson. I mean, I still think
Alisson,
yeah, I still think he's the best keeper. Admittedly,
what do you mean?
Liverpool haven't had the greatest season, but I still think he's been quite outstanding.
Alisson,
yes.
When we agreed on this subject, it was clear team of the season 22-23. This is not no lifetime achievement award. I mean,
no.
I mean, look,
I've not got the numbers. I mean, I suppose. I mean, we live in an age where there's stats and data, but I think. I mean, as I said, I haven't got the data in front of me, but I think in terms of statistics, data, he is the best keeper.
He's heard this off someone, by the
way. I've done my research, but I can't find the research.
Yeah. It's just a bloody outrage. This is ridiculous. Alisson.
I mean,
yes.
He's had a few. I mean, listen, Alisson is a superb goalkeeper, right? Brazil number one. But in terms of team of the season, the idea is who has been the best goalkeeper this season, and Alisson too. And we've not seen this before, but he's had a few shaky moments, as has Liverpool on the whole. Obviously, famously against Real Madrid at Anfield, although technically that's Champions League, so whether we're factoring that in. But it was a difficult one, to your point, Badge. I think the thing about David De Gea is I don't disagree with the choice, because ultimately clean sheets are clean sheets, right? But I do think sometimes clean sheets similar are kind of a team award. And he's also there's been many games where he's also been exposed, and he's produced some unbelievable saves. We've spoken about it at length. Leicester at home, I remember 1-on-1 against Barnes, the save from Iheanacho's header. Still, I do not know how he got across to save that header. He's made some unbelievable saves.
He genuinely wins more points for his team than most of the keepers. So,
well, what I would say is, I think he went through a little bit of a wobble, but it's more, the concern's more around his feet. I think there was that other situation where he conceded that goal near post. Do you remember when it ricocheted off the post when he should have stopped it? So he went through a little bit of a wobble, but listen, he's had an improved season, is what I would say. I went for Ederson in the end, and the main reason is maybe again I'm biased, but if I was picking a team, and if I had to start a team and I was to build an 11, he'd be my number one pick. It would actually be quite.
But that's
close.
not the question.
I think this year.
What kind of answer is that? That is not the question.
Let me finish. I think he has contributed this season. I don't think he's made as many mistakes. The only mistake I can really think of is maybe Spurs at home. I think when he played one of his teammates into trouble and Spurs scored again, they turned that game around at the Etihad. He's not made that many mistakes. He's so integral to their offensive play as well, in terms of inviting that press and just simply plays it through into midfield or into his defense. Again, the only times I've had concerns with him is when he's come out and clattered forwards, giving away penalties, and he's tended to cut that out, Eddie Nketiah aside at the Emirates. I just think he doesn't make many mistakes. He gives them a certain calmness and confidence. I think that team just feels calm around him. They don't worry. If you look at, if you look at Meslier right now, you can just tell the team's feeling nervous around him.
But this is where I take issue on this. I mean, it's with David De Gea as well. If you've got better defenders, now you put Meslier, I would guarantee you put Meslier in that Manchester City side.
He's not playing with his feet like Ederson does. I'm sorry.
If you put him in that Manchester City side, he's obviously not going to be bombarded as he is playing for Leeds United. I think he would look a better keeper. And I think that's the position with David De Gea at this moment in time. If he was behind Harry Maguire all season, I don't think we'd be having that conversation. Or I don't think Baz, you'd be saying the same thing. I think
well, to be fair, the years he's won player of the season for Man United, especially, it's all been because our defense has been awful, and he genuinely saves us. So a lot of the time, it has been the case. I get your point, like why you'd think that, but a lot of the time, when the defense is worse, he's actually better, and he steps up.
He was, but I think in recent times, apart from this season, I
Leader
think
of the Golden Glove, mate. My mate didn't need to tell me that. Sorry, you carry on.
No, but I was just saying, this season, I think it's. I mean, what was he like last season? What was he like the season before? I mean, there was talk, perhaps. I mean, I'm not sure whether that was true or not, but there was talk that maybe his time at United had come to an end. I think this season, having Martinez, you're absolutely right. Varane and Martinez, if you've got those two in front of you, it makes you a better keeper without a shadow of a doubt. And I think that's what's happened. So I think, no doubt, he's a great keeper. But this season, he's had great defenders in front of him.
I think his shot stopping. I think his shot stopping's no one's better. It's the rest of his game that needs improvement. What do you think about this? I don't think any of us are sure about the goalkeeper. We've got Alisson, ridiculous shout. We've got David De Gea.
I mean, listen,
you bring facts with you next time. I don't want to hear mate. Told you.
I mean, the other guys we would probably consider are like Nick Pope and other goalkeepers. I think Nick Pope's had a pretty decent season, but again, behind a really solid team that really prides itself on defending first and then kind of using that as a base to attack. I think the thing about De Gea is I'd be willing to concede to De Gea simply because the biggest barometer when it comes to kind of goalkeepers is, well, how many goals have they conceded? I don't think they've got the best defense. I'd have to double check that, but
they've obviously conceded less than Arsenal at home this season. That is unbelievable. I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah, but people act as if conceding goals and scoring goals are like two exclusive skills and traits. If you're so preoccupied with defending, how many goals?
Behave, will you?
No, but it's true. The point is, we can put 11 men behind the ball and concede 0 goals after.
Whoa!
Listen, the problem is,
United, don't make ill-advised.
Hang on.
Let me finish.
Please send that to Sam Allardyce. 11 men behind the ball. That could be the secret.
That could be the secret. No, my point simply is they're not mutually exclusive. The point is about getting the the idea of football in a nutshell is to optimize your attack with your defending. And if you look at the goal difference, it's not even a conversation between
No,
Arsenal
but that's
and
because
Manchester United.
we need a striker. Probably been playing with Weghorst up front. Like, come on now. Like, no disrespect, Weghorst, but facts are facts. You know what I mean?
This idea that we just need to sort out our attack because we've just conceded less. Yes, because you've got a right back who doesn't prioritize attacking, and once you start to maybe perhaps forge a more expansive
Hold on,
style,
you got Ben White at right back. You've got a centre back at right back.
Let me finish. Once you forge a more expansive style, that you would think compromise some of your defensive abilities. Let's just see if you could put a season
11
together
behind the ball. What a disgraceful opinion that is.
You get the point. Come on. Let's
Who
carry
are
on.
we going for?
I'll happily concede to De Gea, but not to Alisson, not for this
I
season.
don't think I'd even care strongly enough to get De Gea in there. But I mean, if that's what we're going with, no problem.
I mean,
Golden
I'm
Glove
going to do
winner.
something that I've never done before. I'm going to do some research on Alisson for the Thursday show.
So, De Gea or Edison, who we put in?
I think Edison's the better goalkeeper, and I think genuinely, I still think he's had the better season this year. It's just it doesn't come off because he doesn't pull off the save into the corner. Everything he does for Manchester City,
he's not a very good shot stopper in general, Edison.
They don't concede many shots, to be fair.
That's why he gets away with it.
No, and that's fair. That's fair. I just think if I was starting my team tomorrow, De Gea would not come into my thinking. It'd be Edison.
Fine, we'll go with Edison. We'll go with Edison. I'm not precious about that. At right back, we have me and Uwais and I have picked Kieran Trippier. And funnily enough, the non-Arsenal fan here, Ayub Patel, has gone from Ben White. He must have been born in Leeds. Ben White. Why Ben White?
Well, he played for Leeds, but go on, Ayub.
Yeah.
Is that why? Oh my God.
No, gentlemen. No, the reason why is, I mean, yes, he did play for Leeds. So I know Ben White. I've followed his, especially spell at Leeds. He is one of the most gifted footballers that I think have played for Leeds United Football Club. When he played after 2 games, I said to I don't know who I said it to, but I said it to a number of people after 2 games for Leeds that he will play for England. He is he was a centre back. He played in the midfield. How the credit that I give him as a right back. Now you think about it, because it's a really specialized position, a tough position to play a right back, especially if you've always played either centre back or maybe, I suppose, occasionally played centre midfield. I think he's been largely responsible for the success that Arsenal have had. OS maybe perhaps can add or detract from what I'm saying, but I think he's a tremendously gifted footballer. I think he's wonderful with the ball. I think he's an extremely intelligent footballer as well. I think he adds tremendous value going forward. I think he's a great defender as well. I'm a massive fan of Ben White. I mean, I was gutted when we didn't, I suppose, pay the money. I suppose there was the issue with Brighton, who at the time, would you believe, they didn't want to sell to a relegation rival. Would you believe Brighton said that? So I was gutted. If Ben White was playing for Leeds United, it would be comfortably mid-table. That's how good a player this guy is. So for me, it's a player who's not a natural right back, but he's made that position his own. I think he's outstanding. I think he will get better and better and better. And I think ultimately, I see him as a centre midfield player. That's how good he is.
Pep Guardiola here, my God.
I don't think it's a bad
centre midfielder. Wow.
No, I don't think it's a bad pick at all. And I think he was the other one for me. At least that was in consideration. For me, I went for Trippier. I'll keep this short and sweet. I think he's kept 13 clean sheets for Newcastle. He's been available each and every game. In 2 of the other games, when Newcastle didn't keep a clean sheet, he went off 79th minute, 82nd minute. They conceded after he went off. He could have had a couple of more clean sheets. He's important to that team. 6 assists, 4th most touches in the Premier League all seasons. Clearly, he's somebody who a lot of their attacking play goes through, takes a lot of the set pieces. There's a reason why Southgate obviously likes him a lot. He covers that point about optimizing attack and defending. I think he's defending stronger than he's attacking for sure. But I think he does give you some great solidity. He's been quite consistent over a number of seasons previously, obviously played for other Premier League clubs, Atletico Madrid as well. But no, just in terms of what he means for Newcastle, again, available every single game. They've kept tons of clean sheets this season, and he's been a main part of that. So he's my choice for right back.
Yeah, I think, no disrespect to the other candidates, but I think Trippier is just far and away the best right back this season. I think his experience, know-how, his dead ball ability, it's all integral for Newcastle right now. He's been super consistent for him. Great signing overall. I know a lot of United fans were gutted when we didn't end up signing him, although we were quoted more money for him, mind you. But there's a reason for it because he was terrific. Terrific right back, brings us so much to the team. I think that was a signing where he was coming from Atletico Madrid as well, so it was a very notable signing for Newcastle. One that excited people as well. So, and he was great from the off. I believe he scored on his debut, right? He scored a free kick. Did he not?
Well, I remember the free kick he scored against Manchester City. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think that was a couple of games in.
Was it a couple of games in? But yeah, easy one for me. And I'm happy to overrule with you, Wes.
This is as Ayub says, this is a recurring theme.
Yeah.
No, but I think Trippier 2 against 1, democracy and all that.
Democracy, yeah,
Rightly
democracy. Rightly so. So Trippier is our right back for the team of the season. Now we have Saliba in place for one of our centre back spots. And I know we submitted teams, gents, but I do have a minor change from the one I submitted.
You had to, didn't you? Because because you suggested he was your signing of the season. So don't worry about that, Badge. You don't get things like that past me. Carry on.
And I'm switching him out for another United player. So it's fine.
For like change.
Myself, Lisandro Martinez, for all the reasons I stated earlier, absolutely incredible centre half. Come to the league with all the doubters in the world whether he could do it, and he's not only done it, he's thrived. It's so unfortunate his season had to end the way it did because the man was flying, and what he's done for United is truly immeasurable. We've come up, we're at the point where we are because of players like him this season. So Lisandro Martinez is shooing. And by the way, I've not even touched on his ball playing abilities. Second to none, absolute second to none. I think David De Gea is so much more comfortable with having someone like Lisandro Martinez, as you saw in that Sevilla game with Harry Maguire. Them two played each other in trouble. Lisandro Martinez in that same position does not happen. The man is almost press resistant, and he starts a lot of our attacks as well. From a United standpoint, the way he can thread a ball through the midfield, sensational. So for me, he is my nominee for centre back. I'll let you go next.
Botman from Newcastle.
You said that in a Dutch accent as well. Botman.
I've been when I was looking at picking players, I was looking at players that have contributed to their team's success, because that's the whole point. If you're talking about a team of the season, I'm reluctant, apart from Alisson. That was the only time I was actually going to pick a player that perhaps the team has not performed to expectations. But I think Botman has been outstanding. He is the type of centre back that I love. Big, strong, physical presence, really good in the air, really good on the floor as well. I'm surprised. I thought he was an international, but I think he's not made his international bow as of yet. So that was a surprise. I mean, I thought he's
very
such
surprising.
I thought he's such a gifted, cultured player that he must have been an international. But I think he's been absolutely instrumental in the success Newcastle have had, albeit they've got some good offensive players, but I think you have to have a solid foundation, a base. They've got Nick Pope. I didn't mention Nick Pope, obviously, as part of the keepers, but Nick Pope is great. But Botman has been outstanding. He's been magnificent. And I would, without any reservation, for me, he's one of the two best centre backs in the Premier League at this moment in time.
Uwais Ahmed.
I'm just having to gather myself at that statement right at the end. It's thrown
Let
me.
him have it, Uwais.
It's
I don't
thrown
want
me.
you to stay composed. Let him have it.
I mean, top 2 best defender in the league right now. Wow.
Well, it has to be. He's in my team of the season, so
Yeah, that is true.
yeah, of course. Yeah, no, look, it's a decent shot, and he's played really well actually for Newcastle. So I agree with you. I think just with Newcastle, I know slightly contradicting myself with Trippier because he gives a little bit more offensive as well in terms of set pieces and what have you. But Newcastle very much it's a system team, isn't it? They defend in a system and they're quite compact and what have you. And listen, he's been a fantastic addition to that. My pick was Ruben Diaz. Um, Simply because I think when he's out of the team, they don't. Guardiola, I mean, this recent run they've been on, he's obviously played the majority of the games, if not all of the games. And I think I remember last year in the Champions League when he conceded a penalty against Benzema, I think it was in extra time, and I felt quite sorry for him actually because he's a top player. I think he's won also PFA Player of the Year, I think, in one of the seasons as well. And he's a wonderful defender. He's had a few injury issues. But I think when City are playing at their best, he's invariably in that team at the back. He's strong, he's aggressive, he's quick enough, he's composed enough, he's aggressive in the 50-50s. I think he's been a big reason why City, at least in this last run, have been relatively compact and not conceding many chances at all. So he gets my pick. Martinez, good shout. I think even Botman, very good shout. But I think Diaz, again, in terms of the honours that they may well win this season, I think he's an elite defender.
He is no doubt. He is no doubt. But gentlemen, we have to come to a decision, and we have to pick one of the three. So who are we decide? Who are we more inclined to go with on this
It's got to
one?
be Botman. Has to be Botman, doesn't it? Look, I've had a shocking few weeks. So
He wants this win. Lewis, are you
for the sake of integrity? I mean, again, happy to concede to Martinez, but I can't go all the way to Botman. I'm sorry.
Botman.
Let's let him have, let's let him have one.
We need to let him have one. You know what? We let him have one maybe a bit later. I think it's true what Lewis says. I mean, the system suits Botman perfectly, absolutely perfectly. But that's not taking away anything from him. Like he has been absolutely superb for Newcastle, absolute rock at the centre of that defence. But for me,
you've got to look at this is Newcastle. I mean, the transformation that Newcastle. I mean, I remember, what was it, 2 seasons ago? They were before obviously the purchase of the club. They were just an average, mediocre club. So in a sense, this has been fast tracked, and he's been instrumental. We're not talking about a United side, which obviously has had decent players for a number of years. We're not talking about Manchester City, which has obviously got great players. This is a side that has had a very meteoric rise in a very short space of time. Players have come now. Obviously, this is a new guy, new player. He's adapted incredibly well, and he's contributed to an incredible season. How can you not give acknowledgement to that? How can you not give credit to that?
Wow, what a passionate plea that is. And you're absolutely right as well.
Martinez it is. I mean, I'll let you make the decision, Badge, but if it was out of the two, I'd lean Martinez. I mean, I feel Diaz deserves that honor, especially given what they're about to win. But anyway.
If you had to pick one of them two, who are you picking?
It's as I said, I look at the context. I look at obviously the team that he's playing for, what they've achieved, what they've accomplished, and I think for a team like Newcastle, for what he's contributed, it has to be Botman for me. I think he's been outstanding.
He's on that Botman Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't moving. Yeah. Who do I go for here?
Let's go Botman. We've got a left back. We've got
Botman.
A few other decisions.
Let's go Botman. All right, we're gonna go spend Botman. He's our other centre back in this team.
Excellent, superb. That's
a Badge. Can you whisper it? Don't say as just whisper it. It's okay.
Don't tell anybody. Spend Botman.
That's fine.
Right, our left back choices all differ, if I'm not mistaken. And because I didn't get my United pick there, I might reintroduce him in this one. So we have Zinchenko for Ayub. He ain't getting my vote. Uwais, I believe you have picked Nathan Ake. And I'm going to go ahead and select Luke Shaw.
I don't think there was, just very quickly from my side, I don't think there were a lot of, it's not been a standout left back in the conventional sense. The reason why I picked Ake in the end again.
For a joke.
No, I just
It has to
But
be.
a joke, eh?
I think he's a no nonsense defender. He gets on with it. He's a centre back by trade. He's been asked to play left back. He doesn't get beaten many times one on one. You could say the same for Kanji, but he doesn't get beaten one on one. He just gets on with it. No fuss, no diva tendencies. He just plays and he plays well and he brings that defensive. And yes, City, they probably don't need a left. They don't need left back marauding forward. They've got so much talent in other places. But I just think in terms of his defensive ability, the fact that he suits this system that Guardiola's playing currently, with the three centre backs, I think he suits it perfectly. And he can step out. He's not the most proficient in terms of technical ability and kind of the way he's going to kind of move through the thirds and stuff, but he's competent enough on the ball. And I just think from a defensive perspective, there's not many solid, better defensive left backs that you're going to get than Nathan Ake. And again, without a real standout candidate with lots of goals, lots of assists, or lots of goal contributions or in-game moments, he would be my pick for left back.
Ayub?
Not sure about the Ake, but Zinchenko, I'm going to keep it very brief. I think most people that have watched the Arsenal this season, or most people that have watched the Premier League, should acknowledge that Zinchenko obviously has been quite outstanding. You're not having it, are you?
No, I'm not having any of it. I just don't. I don't think I like him.
But that's personal, though, isn't it? Really?
No. As a footballer,
Yeah.
as a footballer, I don't know the guy. He might be a lovely bloke.
He is what I suppose the modern left back, isn't he? He can go forward, he can defend. He's somebody again that the season that Arsenal have had. You look at the players, right? Who's contributed to the success that the Arsenal have had? There's a lot of players, and I think he's extremely important in that in the season that they've had. So for me, Zinchenko.
I might be blinded to this. I just don't think he's been a standout. Obviously, you'd probably watch Arsenal more than any of us here. Has he been as good as what Ayub's saying? And
honestly,
I genuinely don't think he has, but go for it.
I do disagree, and I agree with Ayub. Having watched him closely, he brings. I think he needs to pick and choose his moments about coming in field. I think there are times when he would be better suited to keep width. Yeah, it's this idea. I think when you're constantly overloading the midfield against teams that want to keep it compact, it doesn't work as much. I think it's better suited perhaps away from home, and another teams perhaps being a bit more expansive. So no, I think he has been elite. He's technically one of the best footballers in the league, I would say. You speak to any one of his former Manchester City colleagues, they'll tell you the same. He's immense at what he can do with
Why's your left back then?
I don't think that's necessarily how
What do you mean?
I don't think
if he was technically better, he won't be a left back.
Yeah, but for his country, he does play in central midfield at times as well.
I mean, look, oh my God, play for Ukraine, brother.
Yeah, but let's look at the two teams he's played for in the Premier League. Manchester City. Let me see. Do they have any other decent quality players in the midfield third or in the forward lines? Oh, they do. Similar for Arsenal. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, that harkens back to my point. If he was so technically proficient, why is he left back?
But they use him. They use those qualities at left back for Arsenal Football Club, and I think it works quite well. Look, I think he's a superb footballer. I think he's made a few mistakes, right? I don't think we should go overboard. Which player hasn't? But again, I don't feel all that strongly about him being the best left back in the Premier League. But I think he's added a dimension in terms of control and technical ability to Arsenal that they didn't have in that position. So I wouldn't argue it too much.
For me, Luke Shaw's been. He's had a bit of a turnaround season as well. He's been sensational for United, whether it's been at left back or even surprisingly, he looks at home at centre back as well. You're right in what you say. There's no clear standout. I did have Manuel Akanji in there initially, but he's only played one game at left back as well, or a couple of games at left back maybe. But he's been outstanding. But I think Luke Shaw, on the whole, just about edges it for me. I think he's the most natural left back out of the lads that we've discussed. And I think he's been the most consistent, I'd say. He does contribute to United's attacks. He doesn't get the numbers.
He got a few assists early on in the season. He got a few assists.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of goals as well. Excuse me. But yeah, if I had to edge it, he's the most natural. He's been very consistent. And yeah, he's been good in multiple positions for United. So I would give it to Luke Shaw personally. I don't know if you guys are willing to change. I think if anything, I'm willing to change to not
I,
so
I,
much,
I,
but
I,
I'd lean more towards Aki than I would Zinchenko. I have no time for.
Unbelievable. I'm going to go for sure. I mean, I think if I was forced to make a decision for this team, I'd go for sure. I think you're right. He's a natural left back. I think, but you're right. I think he's been exceptional as a centre back as well. But he's had an outstanding season, and again, he's a player that perhaps was just waning a little bit. He's rejuvenated. I think he's been exceptional. So I don't have an issue if I had to go with Shaw instead of Shinchenko, I'll go with Shaw. Not a problem.
Good. So our back five is set: Edison, Trippier, Saliba, Botman, and Shaw.
But we move on. We move on because Ayub's losing light at rapid
Yes,
rate.
I'm looking at. Yeah.
All right. So we have Kevin De Bruyne in our midfield three. Now, for me, I've personally gone with a choice that is not a holding midfielder. That's why I'm not saying it's a holding and two attackers in front of him. So our options for the other two spots are Bruno Fernandes, Rodri, Martin Odegaard, and Bruno Guimaraes. So, gentlemen, present your arguments on why you think whoever you picked out of those players should be in that team of the season.
Shall I go first? Because the light is fading, and I'll have to be really, really brief. I've gone for the Newcastle man in the middle of the park, and again, my reason is quite simple. I think he is an outstanding football player. He's played for most of the season. I think you can. He's Brazilian in every sense of the word. I think he's an outstanding player. He will get better and better. And I think for the team of the season, I think he will be a wonderful complement with the players that we have in the middle of the park. So for me, Bruno's my man.
Bruno Guimaraes, that is.
Yes.
And who's your other pick in the middle of the park?
I think I went for KDB, and was it Rodri that I went for?
You went for Rodri, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to cover them both, so I'll let you get in there. I'm just going to cover them both for the.
No, you cover them. You cover them.
The two
and
middle
cover them quick. The light is going.
No, that's fine. I went for Rodri. I mean, look, I did play like a holding midfielder. I was thinking I'd probably want a holding midfielder in the team. I think all things considered, Badge, do not fall off your chair. I think all things considered, I think he may well be the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League. I think just in terms of let me finish. Second in passes in the Premier League to Lewis Dunk. First in touches. Listen, I think when he first came over from Atletico Madrid, big price tag as well. I think 60 odd million. I think he took a bit of time. I think this is his fourth season. I think now he does all the basics for what that team needs. And yes, he's playing in a well-oiled machine and he's playing in an unbelievable team. Let's not get it twisted. But I just think he covers ground really, really well. He keeps it simple. He gets it to the players that need to. He doesn't dilly-dally on it. I just think everything that you need, that pivot in the middle of the park, he does it really well. And like I said, he's not one of those kind of ball stoppers. He keeps it moving. He's athletic. He's versatile. He can slot in kind of near the back if he has to slot in between the centre backs in play as well. So I went for him as my kind of holding midfielder. Casemiro for me, again, unavailable for large parts of the season. Partey just recently made obviously a few critical mistakes. I'm going to go for Rodri again. They're probably going to win the Premier League. And my other choice was Bruno Fernandes. It was between the two Brunos, Ayub, so I'm with you between Guimaraes and Fernandes. Very close. I had Guimaraes up until the end. I think Fernandes, just in terms of goals and assists, I think 6 goals, 7 assists in the Premier League. I think he again has benefited from Ronaldo leaving. I think we can expect even bigger things next season and maybe the season beyond. I really do believe that. I think if you asked a lot of objective neutral fans and you said to them, forget some of the histrionics and all the rest of it, there was some noise in the papers this week as well about Sancho and Casemiro and some of the players shouting. I'd say ignoring all of that, he's an immense footballer, great vision, gets goals, gets into the final third, affects play, borrowing a phrase from Roy Keane, impacts the play in big moments. And I actually think his best times at Manchester United are ahead of him.
I think Bruno Fernandes, that's one prime example of numbers do not do that man justice this season. 6 goals, 7 assists. But my goodness, he's been asked to play everywhere in this United side. He's been playing on the right. He's been playing as a 10. He's played as an 8. He's played as a 6, sometimes off the left. And he's never failed to deliver in any of those positions that he's been asked to play. He's been sensational. I think he's an absolute shoo-in for this. Shockingly enough, he's actually not even nominated for the official Premier League Team of the Season, which is absolutely disgusting. He should be in there for sure. For me, he's a shoo-in. The other man I had was Martin Odegaard, because I'm like, how do you leave Martin Odegaard out of this after the season he's had and after the season Arsenal have had? That's why I didn't go Rodri. You've irked me a bit with your best defensive midfielder in the league comment. I may not look past that. Martin Odegaard, though, for me, like he's been instrumental to the way Arsenal have played. The chances he creates, whether they get converted or not, different matter. But he's been instrumental to get Arsenal to this level, in my opinion. Fantastic footballer. I'm not 100% sure his goals on assists this season. I'll just have a quick check of that. I'm very prepared, as you can see. Where is he?
Also, you don't do what I did, just make it up.
I just make it. Mate, Martin Odegaard, 12 goals and 7 assists. That's 19 goal contributions in 32 games. The guy is a different level. He's took Arsenal to a different level as well with his football. I couldn't believe the deal Arsenal got when they signed him in the first place. And he may not have set the world on fire straight away, but my God, he's come on leaps and bounds. And this season, I don't see how he's not in that team. Like, I think it's a disservice to him if he's not picked in that team. I know Rodri's been great, but for me, Martin Odegaard has to be in that side. Those numbers, the performances, the leadership, and he's not one of them leaders that's like, he doesn't do the theatrics like a certain Zinchenko does, but he just leads with his football, and his intelligence, footballing brain, superb, vision, second to none. I think KDB is probably the only guy that's got the better vision than him on a football pitch. I think him and Bruno are pretty similar in that regard. Bruno Fernandes, that is. I don't want to dismiss Muro Guimaraes as well. I think he's had a great season, but I think that them three, for me, Odegaard, KDB, and Bruno are level ahead. So I don't know if you guys want to. How do you want to decide this? Because I think two of you two have got Rodri, me and Wes have got Bruno Fernandes. I just don't see how you leave Odegaard out, but I mean,
I think Odegaard has been sensational. So, I mean, I presume when you're picking a side, there's 11 spaces, and there's obviously, if there's 3 midfield, there's 3 midfield.
Well, I think for me, Rodri has to be in there. I think, again, just for the conventional idea of a holding midfield. And the reason I gave Fernandes that nod ahead of Odegaard, not so much that, I mean, I'm slightly contradicting myself. Who's had the better season? And Odegaard's numbers are great. Arsenal have obviously scored a lot more goals than United. And to your point, United are missing a clear number 9. The reason why I think I just gave the nod just very quickly to Fernandes ahead of Odegaard is as good as Odegaard has been in terms of value, in terms of contribution, I just think about Fernandes. He's the type of character in terms of that kind of, not that feistiness, but I feel like there's sometimes that missing from Odegaard just because he's a different build and different mindset.
Yeah, he's not that kind of guy.
He's a very calm, kind of relaxed player, and that's fine. But there are certain situations where, given that he's captain, and I don't mean your captain has to be kind of a rant and raver, absolutely not. But there are certain situations when Arsenal in certain games where you think the captain just has to gather the troops. I don't mean like gather them in the field. I just mean, just get them through certain situations. And I think Fernandes is probably going to be captain next season. And I think he personifies the type of character that you need in terms of that real true.
Would you say Kevin De Bruyne is like that?
No, he isn't, but he's a cut above everyone else, isn't he? And he's got that inner steel. You can see it with De Bruyne. He's feisty as well, in a different kind of way. You'll see it sometimes.
But I wouldn't say he's not that, like how you use Bruno Fernandes as an example. I don't think KDB does that either. So I wouldn't necessarily put that against Odegaard.
It's not against it. We're splitting hairs. I mean, that's where we're at. If you wanted to push for Odegaard, I'm not going to argue against it as an Arsenal fan. So let's agree to.
I think honestly, Odegaard, Bruno, and I was going to say Casemiro and KDB for me. My God, we've lost Ayub.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. It's,
Let's proceed. I mean, you don't want Rodri. That's fine. I think that's
But it's up to you guys. Up to you guys.
That's
no,
crazy.
Rodri. We talk. I mean, maybe I suppose he's not as glamorous, even though I think he's a fabulous footballer. But when he's not playing for Manchester City, a great side with great players, there is always something missing. He gives something to Man City, which is why I think he's such a fantastic player. That when you're missing from a great team and people are aware that you're missing from that great team, it shows how good a player you are. And I think Rodri is slightly understated, but I think he's an exceptional player. I think if we're picking a team of the season, Rodri is essential for everybody else to work their magic.
No, I think the way you've put that has actually swayed me. Yeah, very nicely put, Ayub. So I think our midfield
Let's move
will
on.
be
Let's move on.
our midfield will be Rodri, Bruno Fernandes, and Kevin De Bruyne. Now our front three, this should be simple because as Saka and Haaland have already been picked, we've got on the left wing or left of the three, however you want to put it. We have Alexander Isak from Ayub. We have Gabriel Martinelli from Uwais Ahmed, and from myself, Marcus Rashford. For me, this is I would say hands down it'd be Rashford, but Martinelli has had a very, very good season as well. I think he's just a goal behind Rashford. They've got the same assists. But I think the impact Rashford has had this season, the turnaround Rashford has had this season compared to last season where he looked like he'd forgotten how to kick a ball. And most people, a lot of pundits were trying to clamour for him to leave the club. Not United pundits, but your Carragher's and Sinesses of the world, clamouring for him to leave. I think he's been sensational. The turnaround has been incredible, partly down to, I'd give some credit to Eric Ten Hag as well in that regard, but he's gone back to being the guy that we thought he'd always be. He's been a killer. He's been a difference maker. The amount of winning goals he's scored is incredible. And honestly, he's performed in a lot of the big games this season for us. He scored in a lot of the big games for us this season. So for me, I think Marcus Rashford has to be that left-sided attacker. I'll let the controversial one go next.
Go on, Owen.
Yeah.
I'll put the case forward for Martinelli. It was close between him and Rashford for me. 15 goals for Martinelli, 5 assists. What am I swayed by? Obviously, I've watched him a lot closer. I've watched a lot of United games as well. Arsenal bought him for 6 million. The famous quote by Jurgen Klopp that he's a talent of a century or a talent of a generation, and he's starting to show that a little bit. He doesn't take penalties, so that's I mean, a return that you'd be quite proud of. With still a few games to go this season. He again also has put his imprint on critical games, scoring that open against Liverpool at the Emirates.
You also said, sorry to interrupt, he doesn't score penalties. Like penalties are just like easy.
No, I know. What I meant is he doesn't take penalties. It's not that the idea of scoring penalties is difficult, as we saw with Saka at West Ham. I'm just simply saying none of those goals. He doesn't take them. They're not. He doesn't get that opportunity to buffer, let's say, a few more goals, maybe on top of his 15 goals. But he works hard for the team. He's always full of energy. Again, just in terms of value for what he brings to Arsenal, he's solidified that side from an Arsenal perspective, pretty much playing every single game. He plays him all the time. Great energy, great poise in front of goal, great finishing. I can't argue against Rashford. It was very, very, very close between those two. Again, maybe a little bit for me played a part was the fact that Martinelli's 21, still yet to turn 22. He's still young and having such a major impact at the top of the Premier League and the best league in the world, as Ayub says. So for me, it's Martinelli but honestly, I would not. It's not one that I feel strongly about. I do feel strongly about the next pick that we're about to hear.
I don't know why you're saying that. I think he's got better and better as the season progressed. Isak, I think he's got better and better, and I think. I suppose I'm easily influenced because I'm looking at recent events. That assist, the best assist ever. I mean, that was just absolutely outstanding. I think he's along with, I suppose, a couple of other players that we've mentioned. He's been the architect in the successful season that Newcastle have had. When he's on his game, and I think more and more recently he seems to be always on his game. He's sensational. He's quick. He's very comfortable with the ball. He's good in the air. He can shoot. He finds space. He is somebody that can play along the front line. So I think he's one of these players that if we had this team of the season, he can I play on the left hand side, the right hand side, and if need be, can play in the centre as well. I think he's the modern forward that he can play in the forward line. And I think he would be an asset to any side. I think at this moment in time, the way that he's played this season, he's one of the best 3 or 4 forward players in the Premier League. So for me, I think he should be in.
So the directive given was team of the season, not team of half a season, team of the season.
Not team of it's team of the week and a half, wasn't it? When
in the
He's
first
only played 17 of a possible 34.
Yeah, in the first 18 games, he'd played 283 minutes. He was averaging 16 minutes a game.
But they were glorious 283 minutes.
Well, I mean, 16 minutes a game or what have you. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, some of the other guys that I thought about on that side were Grealish. Why not? Just those first 12 to 15 games. His form's been electric post
I don't
World
necessarily
Cup.
feel like it needs to be a winger, though. It's just
But
you're plugging a front three of best forwards.
Yeah, true, but
You know?
for me, he plays on that side. That's why the other guy obviously was him, Grealish and Mitoma. Again, Mitoma broke into the team kind of after about 10, 12, 13 games. So it was a case of Martinelli and Rashford for me over the course of a season have been there from start to finish, contributing for their respective teams. And Isaac might be a very good player. No one's disputing that. But Ayub, it's the full season, and the season started in August. What I have seen is that he picked Botman, he picked Guimares, and he picked Isaac. I think he's getting ready to select his new team for the Premier League season. Let's just say that.
No, but this goes back to apart from Alisson. If you notice what I did, I for me, a team of the season has to have players that have contributed to the success of their side. Maybe it's slightly different if you're talking about manager of the year, but in terms of teams, as I said, apart from Alisson, every other player that I've picked is either Manchester City, it's Newcastle,
Arsenal,
and it's the Arsenal. So I've picked players that have contributed enormously to the success of their teams, and I think the Newcastle lads that I've picked have been enormously influential. I think they've been superb. I agree. Maybe Isaac hasn't played a full season. Maybe there's a lot of games that he hasn't played. And if that is the criteria that we use, then maybe I have to hold my hands up and say maybe that I was picking a player that perhaps shouldn't be. But in terms of ability, in terms of what he's done in the games that he's played, magnificent.
You're right. When he has played, he has delivered. In fairness to him, but I just don't think he's played enough to merit being in that 11. I think Ivan Toney is honourable mention for sure. He's 20 league goals. I mean, come on now. He's playing for Brentford. He always gives defenders a hard time.
Oh yeah.
I think it's easy to look past him just because he plays for Brentford, and Brentford are just middle of the table at the moment. But I don't think that should be used against him as well. And Ollie Watkins had a nice resurgence, but I wouldn't say he's in there for team of the season. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's Rashford. I genuinely this is no bias, nothing. I think Martinelli has been sensational for Arsenal. He really has. But I think Rashford has been a game winner a lot more. And I feel confident in saying that.
I'm happy with that.
He's been with.
I'll go with that as well.
Yeah,
I'll go with that as well.
Rashford is our left-sided forward.
Yeah.
So that's our team of the season, gents. I'm going to run down from top to bottom, and then I'll just wait for your final thoughts on it. So we've got Edison as our number 1. Then we have Kieran Trippier, William Saliba, Sven Botman, and Luke Shaw. That is our back 4. And then our centre mid, we've got Rodri, Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne. And then our front line is Bukayo Saka, Erling Haaland, and Marcus Rashford. How are we feeling about that, gents? We happy with that team?
That's a very good team, and I'm happy with that. I mean, we could discuss the centre backs a little bit more, but we're running out of light and time, so I think we should park that right there. But that's a good
Yeah.
team. Yeah.
We've run very long here, very long. So I'm gonna wrap up because I've not had dinner, and my wife hasn't either. So, so I think
But
we
I
need
think
to
we
go.
should be asking our viewers, definitely with this one,
100%.
to obviously offer their thoughts on what we've decided, but also offer what they consider to be their team of the season so far. It'll be interesting to find out what our viewers think.
Beautiful. I'm glad you said it. Now I don't have to.
All right.
Make sure you comment below, and let us know, like you've said, your team of the season. And if you have any exception to what we say, feel free to let us know, and we'll get back to you on that. But for now, thank you for joining us, gents. It was a different episode. I was quite enjoyed it. Our next one will be back to the vitriol, especially for you, where we've got to discuss a lot about Leeds, and I appreciate that you've waited till Thursday for that one. But yeah, that has been this episode of Just Onside. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the bell for notification for our next video. And like you mentioned, comment below and let us know what you think of the ep and your team of the season. Thank you for joining us, gents. Appreciate your thoughts. And that has been this episode of Just Onside. So in the meantime, don't stray off.